Everlasting, the Legacy Podcast, is the official companion podcast to the upcoming MPB original documentary, focusing on the life of Medgar Evers. The companion podcast, hosted by me, Rita Brent, will feature in-depth conversations, extended interviews, and exclusive archive footage not shown in the documentary. Everlasting, the Legacy Podcast, video and audio episodes premiere September 18th. Find it on mpbonline.org or wherever you get your podcasts. MPB, your stories, our mission.
The nation's longest-running traveling celebration of traditional arts, the National Folk Festival comes to downtown Jackson for the first time, November 7th through the 9th. A fun-filled weekend for the entire family, exploring roots, richness, and variety of American culture. Non-stop music and dance, folk life demonstrations, hands-on children's activities, signature Southern foods, crafts, and more showcasing the best of America, the best of Mississippi, all free. We'll see you in November. More at nationalfolkfestival.com.
Okie dokie, folks, welcome back. Horticulturalist Felder Rushing, and I am chuffed to be with y'all. I'm still in England, where it's got up to it got up to 66 degrees today, and it's a little chilly. But I'm thinking about my Mississippi garden because, when I left a month and a half or so ago, I left my truck out in the front yard, parked in front, and ain't nobody watered nothing except maybe whatever came from the sky. So I'm hoping y'all getting some rain.
We get our daily afternoon thunderstorm. Oh, you can't hear me, Felder? We get our daily afternoon thunderstorm, but let's see. I can't even remember the last time we got a good soaking. That might have been a week ago. But, it rains pretty much every day.
Well, it's about time, man. It's about time. And of course, a lot of the stuff that I plant Java over the years, if it couldn't take it, it died. I'm not a nurturing kind of gardener. I know a lot of stuff. I'm sort of what they call a horticulture expert, but I'm not a nurturing gardener. So if something has to be watered or pruned or sprayed or something like that, it's just going to not do well. And there's something waiting for that hole. And over the years, really over the decades, I've been growing stuff in the back of that truck. I found things that can go 2 or 3 months without much water or can take freeze. And so I'm expecting most of it to still be alive, not because I'm smart, but because I garden smart. And there's a real big difference. So I did learn to grow things that like the condition they're growing in. So anyway, we've got a lot to talk about today. First of all, how's Lady doing? How's your puppy doing?
Lady's doing well, man. I swear I love my old lady. And as the days go by, I was like, man, she's really my old lady. She's been with the family for quite some time. So
I understand. Well, there's a lot that goes into what we do. Gardening is not. It's a hobby to some people. It's a science to a lot of people. Gardening has really got a lot of bells and whistles and things, but I choose to see it as an interesting, not so much a hobby, but an interest. It's what I enjoy watching things grow. I love planting things, but also like figuring out what does well. And unfortunately, I had to make a decision years ago because I'm not that left brain, right brain kind of person. I made a decision years ago that I was going to go down the home garden route rather than the horticulture route. A lot of my good friends are horticulturists. They got PhDs. We've written books. We lecture together, blah, 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 blah. But they can't sometimes just enjoy the simple little things like I can, like scratching a lady's ears and then sniffing my fingers. She could use a bath. She could use a bath, Java.
Well, yeah, when you ran over her in the garden and almost hurt yourself.
I did. I stepped on her. But and before we get into other stuff, how's you and Crystal's garden doing?
Oh, it's doing fine, man. It's probably pretty much like everybody's. It's getting heated, beat with the heat. I'll just say that. And yeah, and it's just the way of the world right now.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to keep up with what's going on in Mississippi. Of course, I'm the administrator, one of the administrators of the Mississippi Gardening Facebook, and I get literally dozens of questions or comments and people showing dozens every day of people showing what's going on in their garden, if they got questions. And so I kind of keep up with what's really doing well and also what people's concerns were. So I hope if folks call up today, understand that even though my body's not in Mississippi, my mind is, and I'll be glad to talk with anything that's on your gardening mind. This is a weird time of year, Java. It's a transition, sort of like a threshold, like going to an airport. You're either outside the airport and in Jackson, you're in the airport, and then you end up, who knows where, Atlanta or whatever. But while you're in the airport, it's a transition. You're neither here nor there. And that's kind of what August is right now. It's a transition between summer, getting too late to plant summer stuff like tomatoes and peppers, a little bit early for planting lettuces and things like that like cool weather. So we're in a sort of gear shifting thing. But while you're in this airport, look around, relax, sit down, think about where you're going, what you want. And then that's where we come in today. Mississippi Public Broadcasting is, if nothing else, is timely and local. So that's what we're going to be talking about, gardening in the middle of August in Mississippi, or if you're not in Mississippi, where your heart is.
Now, I also want to encourage our viewers and listeners to call in 1-877-MPB-RING. That's 1-877-672-7464. Or you can join the live stream. I want to say good morning to some of our regulars, Margie, tapping in from Harperville. She says, good morning to you, Felder. We got Amanda, Diane, B. Gatlin, Crystal, and Adrian. Tapping in on the live stream all the way from Ocean Springs. And if you're on the live stream, you can always put a question in the chat. And I got a question for you this morning, Felder.
Right, bring it on.
You're talking about August, and it is a transition. It is a transition period for some of those college students who are getting ready to go to, college. And for some of them, they're going to be living in the dorm. I had a thought this morning about dorm plants. Is there, those plants that can literally be in these concrete blocks that we call dorms.
Yeah, we're talking about the legal stuff, right?
Of course, Felder, and the peanut gallery goes wild.
I mean, I was a college kid, okay? It's really interesting because most of the times dorms don't have much of a window. They got a little thing to let some light in to know that you're not, just out in the middle of space or someplace. But there are some plants that will tolerate the low light, but also the low humidity of dorms. But what would be interesting to see if a individual dorm, whether it's at J-State or Southern or Ole Miss or any place, I bet you there's a place near East Dorm where they could have a little community container garden. It got to be an area where people aren't going to vandalize it or pour beer in it or anything like that. But I bet you could come up with some real interesting large containers where people could plant stuff that makes them feel more connected. Because between dorm and the what do you call it, the cafeteria and the classes, it could be pretty depersonalizing sometimes. Anyway, there are some plants that grow indoors, and I actually have a list of them. Things like mother-in-law tongue, they call it snake plant or airplane plant. But what I'm about to say is not going to sound very horticultural, Java, but I'm really, really honest about this. Plants don't really clean the air that much. That's sort of a myth. That was based on some flawed research. But they do make you feel connected. Well, what if you went to Hobby Lobby and got some really nice fake plants and put in there? I mean, I know it's not horticultural, but synthetic plants do have a function. One of my best plants in my cabin is a big old fake weeping fig. It's just fake as it can be. I sit it out once or twice here in the rain to let it get dusty, but it makes me feel more like I brought the outdoors indoors. So it's no shame in having artificial plant, but they can also have a terrarium, which is like an aquarium. You put some little soil in it, and there's all sorts of little plants that are little miniature jungle plants that you could grow in an enclosed container, sort of like a plant aquarium.
Okay. Well, that's cool. I'm still flabbergasted about your question of the legality of these plants we were talking about.
You got to remember, I mean, I'm an old guy now, but I was in college in the 70s. Okay, enough said. Before you were born, Java.
Enough
making do.
Enough said. And speaking of before I was born, we actually have a guest in the studio.
A real celebrity, I might add.
A true celebrity. I wish if our live stream producers could kind of swing the camera. Come in a little bit. You may remember this fella, Jonas Adams. He was the producer of the Gestalt Gardener before I started my tenure here, and he's here actually. What do you are?
Moving my son into Jackson State tomorrow.
Moving his son into JSU
Oh,
tomorrow.
no, man. No. He can't be that old.
So
You
that
know,
means
Jonas was a heyday. You know, Jonas was my second or third producer, but he kicked it off. He was where I got my attitude from, Java, in case you're wondering.
so it's all his fault.
No, it's we were co-conspirators into trying to lighten stuff up. But anyway, Jonas has gone on to great things in Washington, but he bringing his boy back to his grown son, back to J State. That's amazing. Glad to see him.
Yeah.
See you.
Nah, that's a beautiful. You want to say something to the people, man?
I miss y'all. I'm glad to see that this program is still up and running. I'm glad to see that Felder Rushing is still cheerful as ever. Loving the hair. The hair looks better. So Java's doing a great job.
You.
So there's that.
Thank you.
We're on camera now. We weren't on camera when I was here.
Yeah, it turned gray somewhere in my partner. Now that we're on live stream, Jonas, you can appreciate that. My partner makes me wash my hair and shave before the live stream every week.
An amazing partner. I applaud. Standing ovation.
Yeah.
Sitting ovation.
Yeah.
Standing ovation.
Well, let's get to gardening. John, I've got some things to share, but you need to just let me know when we got some phone calls. But I want to point out that tomorrow I'm going to another really big Royal Horticultural Society flower show. You know, they have them all over the place here in England and over in Europe where I'm getting ideas. This is going to be the RHS Harlow Carr flower show. It's in Yorkshire, which is up in the northwest part of England. A lot of people have heard of York. Well, Yorkshire is probably the biggest county. They call them shires here, the biggest county in England. I think it's the biggest, but anyway, it's huge. But they're going to be featuring ornamental gardens, you know, planting vegetables and herbs in flowers together. Fall flowering American wildflowers. They're featuring plants that are beautiful garden plants that are native to Mississippi. We're talking about goldenrods and asters and sunflowers and liatris and monarda, plants that we sometimes take for granted because they're everywhere. But they grow them in nice, normal-looking garden settings, and it's great. But one of the things that they're going to really feature, and I'm looking forward to, and this is the main reason I'm going, they're going to they have a display and experts on hand for outdoor hardy succulents, which is what I grow. You know, things that can stay out all summer and all winter, but don't need to be cared for. I'm probably going to grab a few to carry home on the train to my own garden here. But I want to follow up on something we were talking about last week. I was asking for people to share what they knew about hypertufa, which is artificial stone pots. You can make your own planting trough or pot. A lot of people in Mississippi do it. Some of my friends, Faith Estes up in Winston County, she does it. But basically, you mix peat moss and perlite, white crunchy stuff, and Portland cement together, make them into a nice little firm mud and pour them over a form. And when it dries, you've got an instant ancient looking old stone pot looking thing that you can actually pick up. So anyway, I got all my materials. I'm gonna get started on this weekend.
Well, that sounds like you got your plan laid out, man.
Well, it's playing in the mud, making my own pot, because I went around a real stone trough, a real carved stone pot thing can cost $700-800, and I'm gonna make one for $15. You know, again, you mix up some concrete, some peat moss, perlite, and put it around something, poke a hole in the bottom. When it dries, you got an automatic, pretty looking pot that you can actually pick up. So that's what I'm looking forward to doing.
All right, Felder, let's go ahead and take our first break for the hour. We do have Bill from Jackson on the line, so we'll talk with him after this first break, okay?
All right, sounds good. And while they're calling up the music, let me point out if we could get John C. or to put up picture number one. My granddaughter got her first tomato. We planted some tomatoes right before I left. She's holding up her very first ever tomato. I feel like a success. So we're going to take a little bit of a break, folks, and come back with some news and talk with you about whatever's going on in your garden. It is a live program, so if you've got some things you want to chat about, I won't sell you anything. I'll try my best to answer as if it's something I was going to do myself. Stick with us, folks. Me and Java and all the other folks in MPB, we're going to be back and talk with you about gardening in Mississippi here in the middle of August. So looking forward to talk with y'all. Give us a call. We'll be right back.
The nation's longest running traveling celebration of traditional arts, the National Folk Festival comes to downtown Jackson for the first time, November 7th through the 9th. A fun-filled weekend for the entire family, exploring roots, richness, and variety of American culture. Non-stop music and dance, folk life demonstrations, hands-on children's activities, signature Southern foods, crafts, and more showcasing the best of America, the best of Mississippi, all free. We'll see you in November. More at nationalfolkfestival.com.
At the Mississippi Arts and Entertainment Experience in Meridian, we believe in the power of the arts, storytelling, and education, just like Mississippi Public Broadcasting. MPB connects communities across the state with quality programs that inform, inspire, and engage. Their audience is loyal and appreciative of businesses that support public broadcasting, which makes underwriting on MPB a smart investment. Join us in supporting MPB. Learn more at mpbfoundation.org.
Everlasting, the Legacy Podcast, is the official companion podcast to the upcoming MPB original documentary, focusing on the life of Medgar Evers. The companion podcast, hosted by me, Rita Brent, will feature in-depth conversations, extended interviews, and exclusive archive footage not shown in the documentary. Everlasting, the Legacy Podcast, video and audio episodes premiere September 18th. Find it on mpbonline.org or wherever you get your podcasts. MPB, your stories, our mission.
Okie dokie, folks. Welcome back. Horticulturalist Felder Rushing, and we're talking about gardening. Give us a call. It's toll free, 1-877-MPB-RING, or you can listen to the live, the podcast, or actually watch the live stream anytime you get around to it. For the live stream, just go to YouTube, and in the search box, put Mississippi Public Broadcasting or the Gestalt Gardener. Meanwhile, we've had a fella hanging on for a while from Jackson named Bill. Let's see what's going on. What's up, Bill?
Good morning, Felder. Thank you. I am.
Hello.
Hello. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Felder?
I can now.
Okay. I would like for you to review one more time what you should and should not put in your compost. I'm particularly concerned about composting sunflower seed hulls from under my bird feeder because there's some issue about toxicity to certain plants. Right.
Now that's a real good question. And keep in mind, I've worked with people who wrote entire books on composting. I was a member of the team, the American Horticultural Society team, where we tested compost systems for years. I'm pretty familiar with compost. I compost stuff myself. And that said, almost all the rules for composting are just made up. There's a kernel of truth to them. For example, almost anything that's organic will compost. It just causes breakdown, whether it's leaves or grass clippings or weeds or whatever. But they say you shouldn't put meat or dairy products in a compost. Well, excuse me, but I put them in mine. I just bury them so the raccoons don't get it. It's perfectly located compost. What do you think happens to birds when they fall out of the nest in the woods? They compost. Just takes a little time. So the thing about sunflower hulls, similar to the issue with walnut roots, it gives off a material that can suppress other plants. The truth is, that's true, but in a laboratory setting, but in real life setting, it's such a small amount, it's just about immeasurable. Practically no effect at all. So the idea of not putting sunflower hulls in it because they may have just a tiny bit of poison, it's not that big a deal, and they're spread out over all that compost and they're spread out of the soil. It's actually immeasurable. So it's not anything I would. The only thing I don't put in my compost is broken glass because it'll come back and bite me. But the main thing is the thing about toxic stuff, sunflower seeds, too much coffee, too much tea ground, all those kind of things. Extreme pedantic laboratory type stuff. Nothing to worry about in real life. I'm very sure of this. So just mix them up with a lot of other stuff and forget about them.
Thank you.
Did that answer it? I don't know. Was that a little bit too harsh there, Java?
No, Bill said thank you.
Okay. My mind started to drift. Because, it seemed like a lot of stuff I say is counter to what you read. And I belong to a group of horticulture scientists. And you have to be a member. You can't just click on our stuff. And we get together and we talk about these myths, things that are too good to be true or things that just sound like you really shouldn't do it. We get to the bottom of it. What's the real science? And then how much does it affect real life? And the truth is, there's a lot of things that people say, they firmly believe in it. I will never convince them otherwise. That's just pure hooey. It's not that big a deal, really. So I have to sort of weigh people's dedication, what they heard from the grandpa, versus or what they read on the internet, versus the reality of what's going on in the garden. And that's one of the reasons why I appreciate MPB putting me in a position I'd have to sell anything, because I'd have to sell stuff I don't believe in. So anyway, enough of that. How's our callers looking?
Yeah, let's go to Natchez and talk with Tom.
Hey, Tom, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Great, thank you. Listen, I bought some chili pepper plants back for spring.
Yeah.
You know, plant during the spring, and I got them out late, but they bloomed and produced. And I'm wondering, they're still doing good. Will they bloom again for another season, like for fall?
Oh, yes. If you can keep them alive. Here's the thing. Peppers and tomatoes and potatoes, they're native to up in the Andes. They're South America, but they're cool climate plants. They really don't do well in hot climate. They'll freeze in the winter, but they don't like hot,
Yeah.
humid summer, especially at the night. These kind of plants have to cool down at night and rest. It's called respiration. If they can't respire, it's like the plant equivalent of a sleep deprivation. So what happens when it gets really hot, pepper flowers, tomato flowers, and bean flowers, they tend to either, they don't form right, or they drop off, or even the small tomatoes or peppers or beans will shed just because of high temperatures. So if you can keep the plants alive, don't push them too much with fertilizer. But if you can give them a little bit of fertilizer later this month and keep them watered as needed and get them through over the hump the next couple of 3 weeks, maybe month or so, they will start packing them on when it gets cooler. September, October are fantastic months for tomatoes and peppers if you can keep the plants alive, or if you set out some new plants this month. So it's just nothing but hot weather and plants that are from a cooler climate.
Okay, I appreciate the information and love your show.
I appreciate it. And by the way, don't fertilize them too much. Whatever the fertilizer calls for. I really like liquid fertilizers, Miracle Grow, things like that. But if you'll use it at half the recommended strength, the directions always call for the most they can legally get away with. So if you use it half strength, what's that?
I don't use any.
Well, you ought to. Okay, that could be a problem. They need nutrients. They don't live on just, it's like having a dog or a cat. You got to give them a little nutrient every now and then. If you'll get some liquid fertilizer and whatever it says to put in a gallon of water, put that in 2 gallons of water. It really makes a difference, because plants need nutrients just like we do. You can't just live on potatoes alone.
Okay. All right. Sounds great. Thank you so much.
Okay, appreciate it. I love it, Java. Going on and on about how little she. I don't do any of that stuff.
But you always say, like, you got to have a little, you have to have the nutrients. Like, you just said that living off potatoes alone, not going to cut it.
Yeah. I mean, Java Jr. ain't going to live on ice pops.
No. He wouldn't.
He can eat some mac and cheese every now and then.
Oh yeah, a second helping of mac and cheese.
Yeah. We got any other callers? Otherwise, I got a couple of things to share.
Yeah, go ahead and run them down. I know you sent in a couple of pictures. We have some callers getting lined up though. So what did you what you bring in today?
Well, one of the things I brought. Let me see if I can find the pictures I got. One is picture number 2 is some blackberries. The blackberries are still ripe all over England. I do a lot of walking through the moors, it's out in the hills, and where the lizards and the blueberries and all that. But the blackberries are in full produce right now. But in Mississippi, blackberries are pretty well worn out, and raspberries are wearing out too. Here's the thing about blackberries and raspberries: they produce this year on what grew last year, and those canes are just going to get thorny and just nothing but trouble. So as soon as you get through picking, July, first part of August, go ahead and cut down the stuff that had berries on it this year. Just cut it down. And then the stuff that came up this year, maybe snip the tips off as it branches out, because it will have berries next year. So go ahead and thin out this year's old canes and leave the new ones alone. And when it comes to blueberries, a lot of people are concerned about that. It's really a little bit late for pruning spring blooming shrubs like azaleas, blueberries. They bloom in the spring. They need time for the new growth to come out and mature and set buds before fall. So if you want to prune your blueberries, don't prune them really hard this time of year because they need time to mature. But just make a note, blueberries only need pruning in July or so, right after harvest. If you prune them in the winter, there go your flowers, there go your berries. And then the other thing is if they could put up picture number 3. When I walked around, they have these wild roses, and they grow wild in Mississippi too, but not like this. And they have, a lot of people don't realize roses in the same family as apples. And can you see this right here?
Yeah, I was like, that's a rose?
These are the fruits on rose. They look like little apples. You know, they look just like little apples. As a matter of fact, they have all the same nutrients. And if they'll put up that picture I've got a close-up of a rose hip that I bit into, and you can see it looks just like an apple. Got a lot of seeds in it, not quite sweet like an apple, but rose hips are loaded with all the nutrients of apples that got vitamin C, and you can make a tea out of them. I just want to throw that out because it's something a lot of people don't think about, roses and apples and pears being all in the same family, but they are. So, and then the last thing I want to mention, this is not a picture, but I got an email from a lady named Judy. She says she'd been throwing fruit and vegetable scraps on her blueberry patch. This sort of ties into the Natchez call. She said, but she just throws the veggie scraps on top of the ground around her blueberries. But her husband says she can't keep doing it because it might bring rats into the yard. And she wants to know, what can she do to compost fruit and vegetable scraps in the kitchen without attracting vermin? And I said, you know, it's something you can buy locally. And what I did was I said, why not just go get you one of those big sweater boxes, you know, like a Rubbermaid sweater box with a tight fitting lid. Drill some holes. Don't just cut it, but drill some holes around the bottom and the sides and the top. Throw their vegetable scraps with some leaves, some grass clippings, leaves, weeds, whatever. Mix it up with other stuff is what I'm saying. Just throw it in there, give it a good shaking, and within weeks you'll have something that's completely broken down that won't attract vermin, and put that around your blueberries. So you don't have to have a compost system. Just get you anything with a tight fitting lid that you can drill aeration holes in, and just throw it with some leaves and stuff. Sort of dilute it. Don't just put vegetable scraps in there because they'll get nasty. But within just a few weeks, you can have the most beautiful compost, and it's not going to attract vermin if you throw that around your blueberries. I just want to throw that out.
Well, let's throw out this cheesy tune that we got for today and go for our halftime break. We do got Jennifer from Mobile on the line, so hold on, Jennifer, and we'll get to you on the other side of this break.
Okay. And while we're going to that, let me set up this tune. This is a guy named, I forget his name already, but it's a Tim Wilson. It's a tune called Dirt Pill. It's about, it's trying to keep your kids healthy. Just put them outside, let them drink from a hose, climb a tree, get scratches, get bitten by fire ants, do all this kind. In other words, expose kids to gardening and outdoors, and they'll be a lot healthier if you just try to protect them and give them a dirt pill from the doctor. So anyway, it's just Dirt Pill by Tim Wilson. Those of you can't see it because you're on a podcast. Me and Java and all the folks at MPB, we're going to be right back with more of the Gestalt Gardener right after this.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Bobby Rush. As a blues man, I love Mississippi Public Broadcasting. If you support Mississippi music and their local programming, donate now, right now, and become a member today, not tomorrow. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Doesn't matter how big or small, but we prefer big. Thank you very much.
The Measuring Show.
Since 1970, MPB has been enriching the lives of Mississippians.
Everything we do gives us the chance to grow and learn.
With your support, we are always there whenever and wherever you need us. Together through the years, together in the future. Please consider making a donation at mpbfoundation.org. MPB, your stories, our mission.
Hello, I'm Desiree Frazier, host of the award-winning news program, Mississippi Edition. We bring you conversations about the latest news from across the Magnolia State. Whether it's politics, healthcare, or education, you'll hear in-depth discussions on issues that matter to you. So join us each weekday morning at 8:30 on MPB Think Radio, or download the podcast, listen through the app, and online.
At the Mississippi Arts and Entertainment Experience in Meridian, we believe in the power of the arts, storytelling, and education, just like Mississippi Public Broadcasting. MPB connects communities across the state with quality programs that inform, inspire, and engage. Their audience is loyal and appreciative of businesses that support public broadcasting, which makes underwriting on MPB a smart investment. Join us in supporting MPB. Learn more at mpbfoundation.org.
Folks, welcome back. Horticulturalist Felder Rushing, and give them kids a dirt pill. Let them drink from a hose and get fire ants, sting them between the toes. One of those things, y'all. Man, you can't protect kids, but if you try to, it's going to blow back on you. Anyway, we got a caller from Mobile, Alabama, named Jennifer. Good morning, Jennifer. How are you doing today?
Oh, just wonderful. I'm such a huge fan of the show. Thank you for taking my call.
Thanks for being part of it.
So I wanted to talk about going back to what you said about plants on college campuses. And we have at the University of South Alabama, we have a community garden, we have a native plants garden, and we also have an urban foraging map for our campus for students to go around and be able to forage food that they can eat. In the Native Plants Garden, which is at the University of South Alabama Archaeology Museum that I run, we have students who come through there and have blueberries and Chickasaw plums, and they just have a great lunch if they walk through. I have people from the community. They're able to come in through the gardens on the weekends. It's open 24/7, and they do some grocery shopping.
Wow. That's and it makes me wonder why Mississippi State with a horticulture department doesn't have something similar, but we ain't going there. But and by the way, I have a little publication, a little brochure that I put together. If you're interested, and email me for. It's on urban foraging, and it's got a list of really good commonly grown plants that people don't think about that have something that you could eat off of. It is a list of really commonly grown plants that are surprising. You know the shrub called Eleagnus?
No.
Okay, so, well, if you ever saw one, it's a big shrub. It's real scraggly. It makes my hair look good. It's a real scraggly plant. It's used as a screen a lot of times. And it has flowers in the late fall, and it has edible fruit in December and January when students may actually be on campus. So anyway, there's a lot of things like that I'd love to share with you. By the way, I want to ask you this. Y'all have a really good art program there. Do you have a bottle tree in any of those? Because you got some students who are doing wonderful glass art.
Absolutely. We do have a wonderful art program, and
but you have bottle trees.
I would love
bottle
for you
trees
to come visit us.
Well, but see, what I'm saying is, do you have any students? They could put art out there, glass art in it, because it's all over the place.
Absolutely.
Good.
And we are working on incorporating more of the art in the museum. We definitely need some more art in our native plant garden. And I'm actually, my boss is the chair of art and art history, so we work really close with that department at the Archaeology Museum, certainly.
It's been
we
a
have
while
art
since
installations. I bring exhibits in and out all the time. So,
yeah.
Yes.
Well, a lot of people don't realize that every good garden every good garden has got some kind of artwork. It may be a fancy gate, it may be a statue, it may be something little, but every good garden has got accents that are artistic, all of them. I did give a talk to your glass group one time, and I actually lecture on garden art, especially for rustic settings. Like, there's no reason in the world you should have in your native plant thing a stumpery, which is just a garden made of stumps and logs and driftwood with stuff planted around it. They're all over the place. They're in the coolest botanic gardens. You got stumperies, and of all places, you should have one of those in your native plant garden.
I'll tell you what we do have. We have a simulated shell midden. So that would be like a Native American trash pit of shells and oysters and things they're eating. And so we have lots of blueberries and cedar trees. They love that calcium. We do have that.
Yeah, well, it sounds good. Email me if you get a chance, and let's get, because I got some ideas that I'd like to come see used, and they're not my ideas. There's things that I've learned from other people, so I'd love to help. Anyway, thanks so much for that, Jennifer. I really appreciate that. Sounds fun.
Oh, this is such a thrill. Thank you guys so much for what you do.
You bet. You bet. Java, I've always got to get in a dig for bottle trees. I always got to do that because it's not a southern thing, but you can get away with it in the South a lot better than you can other places.
Well, speaking of bottle trees and other hard features, I've started to look for those in gardens, hard features and art pieces and stuff like that. So I attribute that to you for putting my eye on it.
Well, we stood up, you had an old dead cedar tree up against one of your back fences. We hauled it out and stood it up and got your girls to put some bottles on it. You got any more, or is Crystal putting her foot down on it?
No, we have to search for those blue bottles, man. I don't know.
They don't have to be blue. They don't have to be blue, man. This is the 21st century. You can go with all green if you want to.
Okay. Well, let's go with Gene from Mobile. Gene is on the line, wants to join today's show this morning.
Good morning, Gene. How you doing?
Doing good. How about yourself, buddy?
So far, so good. What's up?
I got a question. I live in Mobile. I live about a mile from the campus, USA over here, and they've got these white hydrangeas, and they've been out a few years, and they're long, kind of big, and they bloom all summer.
Right.
And my question is, how tricky are they to root? Or do you know?
Every one you see grown anywhere on Earth came from a cutting. You want to root.
I know that, but these I never fool with. I know how to do the regulars. I just stick them in the ground.
Same thing. Hydrangea, whether it blooms in the spring or the summer. And by the way, the kind of there's a lot of different types of hydrangea, not just the pink and blue kinds, but they got big PG ones, got their native oak leaf hydrangea, a lot of different kinds. They all root the same. You don't want too big a cutting. Look kind of a size of a pencil or maybe a foot long. But hydrangeas are all really, really easy to root. Those are probably the ones
off its stick or the leaves. And just that way.
Just exactly like do anything. Just take it. You don't want to cut the leaves off. I mean, you want to cut the leaves off because they'll suck it dry. But you basically take a piece of stick. That's not the real tender stuff on the tip and not the old woody stuff, but whatever grew this year, sort of the middle part of that roots pretty well. By the way, those
fall of the year be a good time to cut those.
They root well in the winter, late winter. They root in the spring after the new growth has come out and toughened up. So I would say late winter or early summer would be the most likely when they're going to have the hormones going that help them root best. So I'd wait till you could give some a try right now, but if you get caught, they're going to holler at you.
Well, I'm going to slip over after dark and have a couple of beers in my hands so they think I'm drunk.
Get some from the backside so nobody knows it. Don't booger up their bushes, man. Those, by the way, those are.
Hey, I'm 84 years old. They ain't gonna put me in jail for that. If they do, I'll be all right.
If they do, I'll be there picketing for you, brother.
Let me tell you something funny. I've been trying to call you for about 30 minutes, and I was dialing the wrong dadgum number. I was dialing Bill Finch. I couldn't get you on his number.
Bill Finch is fine too. Bill and I go way back.
Well, he'll be in here tomorrow, but I was trying to get you, and I got both of y'all on my telephone book, But my eyes are not focusing good this morning. I just kept dialing that same number. I kept this and that's the right number, yada yada. And I finally looked up and it says Bill Finch. I said, oh shoot. I never go get you. Anyway, I'll check it out and get me something. When I wait to fall, that's when to trim them back and I'm going to get some of them.
Better to they're not going to root as well in the fall as you do if you wait till middle of the winter. It's a hormone thing. The hormones aren't raging as much in the fall or the late summer. So it'd be better to wait till winter time unless you do it right away. And come on, man, you're 84. Let's get on it.
Well, I ain't got long. I got to get this something going to grow it.
Okay, thanks for your call, man. We appreciate that.
Well, Joe, I appreciate your program.
You bet. Java, did I go too far on that one?
No, and also Gene has called in before, so he knows the deal.
Yeah, I want to throw up a couple of other pictures, if we can, real quick. Pictures number 6 and 7 are pictures of fall vegetables, things like lettuce and cabbage and broccoli and parsley. A lot of people think of planting those in the fall, but the truth is, fall gardening is fall harvesting. This is a good month. We're sort of at the end, the very tail end of when you can set out summer stuff like marigolds and tomatoes and peppers and still get a harvest before frost. You can do it if you get right on it. But this is the time to start thinking about planting things that do better in cooler weather. I think I might wait a little bit on the lettuce, but you can plant carrots and beets and spinach. You can start broccoli and cabbages. This is a good month. As a matter of fact, if anybody's ever been to the Crystal Springs fall, they have a fall field day where they show how truck farmers, how commercial growers, where they grow for the fall. Those gardens are just loaded with unbelievable vegetables in October, but they were planted in August. So I know it's hot out there. I know it's hot. I know it's miserable and it's dry. But if you get out and turn over some dirt and go back in before the mosquitoes find you, and then go back out in a few days and turn it over one more time and mulch it, and then it'll be ready to just pull the mulch back, push the seeds or plants out there, water them good, mulch them. And you don't have to water all the time. A good deep soaking a couple of times a week. And then you can have an incredible garden come late September and October when everybody else is just getting started. So fall vegetables are planted in the late summer. Just want to throw that out as sort of a timely thing.
Now, let's go back to our phones. I really want to say thank you to our country cousins in Alabama for joining the show this morning. We got another Mobile caller. Let's talk with Stephen, wants to join the show today.
Hey, Stephen, what's up?
Hey, good morning. I just had a fence put in the backyard and a new sidewalk poured in the front yard. And, of course, all the grass now is destroyed. Is it too late in the season for me to have some companies come in and lay sod for me?
No, it's really not. And here's the reason why. This is a weird concept, but that's the reason we call MPB Think Radio. When you put sod out, they're going to tell you to water every day. And believe it or not, that is a mistake. I'm on the grasses side. That sod needs to be watered, needs to be kept from drying out. But when you plant sod, let's say you do it today, a month from now, that sod is completely gone. It has completely replaced itself with new sod. So what you do when you put sod out is you try to take care of it to help it reproduce itself. That means getting rooted deeply and send out new runners. And so if you're going to do that, water really, really good a couple of times a week for a couple of weeks, and then really good once a week, all the way through the side of the ground below, so that the new roots will go down following the moisture rather than staying up where it stays wet. So water deep, not often, and then raise your mower. Believe it or not, in this heat, those leaves are root factories. So if you'll get them to put it out there, raise the mower, and then water it really, really good a couple of times a week for the first couple of weeks, it'll get so established in a month from now, you pull it up and it's going to rinse your back. So it's not too hard, but the main thing is don't let it get dry, but don't keep it wet. Water thoroughly, and it'll work.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. I appreciate it.
Okay. And Job, I had to go out of my way and say that because people sell sod, they tell you to water it every day. They're just trying to keep it green until their guarantee is up. The grass, you can pull up grass that's been watered every day, and the roots are right there on top of the ground. Couple of times a week that you can't even pull it up because the roots are so deep, because roots grow fast.
Now I got a question. because we were looking, Crystal and I were looking at some, of course, TikToks just yesterday about Bermuda grass.
Yeah, you don't have there ain't no place in your yard where Bermuda grass will go. You got too much shade.
Okay, well, that was our number one question because the guy was using it to fill in some patchy spots, and that was my number one question.
No, it's Bermuda grass. It has to have all day sun, and you may have some all day sun down by your corner.
Yeah, now you're right by the corner.
Yeah, but and plus your grass, your lawn is pretty compacted clay. That whole neighborhood is clay. If you want to go with anything, St. Augustine or Centipede would be your best bet. But y'all need to raise your mower up to the high setting and throw the wrench away. That's the key to good St. Augustine Centipede grass is mow high because it has over the ground runners. Not underground runners, and they need to get all the energy they can. So raise the mower up, and if you could water once a month, if it ever stops raining, you'll have a lot better grass.
And then another thing too, we were thinking about extending that jasmine that's in the front yard.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
That'd be good. You know, around the edge, you got this. And by the way, folks, Java's got a beautiful garden. It's a beautiful landscape. It's got some big trees with Asiatic jasmine under it. But around the edge of it, it's been walked on so much that the ground is compacted. So if you could go out sometime with a sharp stick or a hoe or something and just kind of rough the ground up outside a little bit and then throw some tree leaves on it, the jasmine will spread on its own. You'd have a hard time spreading in that hard packed dirt, though. So what you do is decide where you want it to grow to and make that the new stopping point, and just put a bunch of tree leaves as they fall from your trees, and the jasmine will spread out to wherever you make it stop. You know, make you a new edge and let the jasmine come on out. Try to keep it from coming out.
All right. Well, let's move away from my home and garden. Let's go to Cindy calling in from Cordova, Tennessee this morning.
All righty. We've gone from the coast all the way up to the Appalachia. What's up, Cindy? Good morning.
Good morning. Quick question. My daughter lives in Tupelo, and she is moving next weekend, and she has 2 beautiful rose bushes. Mm-hmm. And is it possible to take cuttings from those and try to save them to get them rooted and transplant later on at her new house?
It's possible, but keep in mind some roses don't grow well on their own root. They're better off if grafted. But if it's an old type of rose, the kind that blooms all the time, what you want to do is take cuttings that are smaller than a new pencil. If you're old enough to remember what a pencil is, you don't want to get that little tender stuff on the. Yeah, you don't want that real tender stuff on the end or the big thick stuff, but follow the end of a branch back to where it started back in the spring. You want to root some of the middle part of that. Cuttings 4, 5, 6, maybe 7 inches long.
Okay.
It's possible to root those. You don't just stick them in some dirt this time of year, but they can root. The main thing is you want to keep them moist, not wet and humid. So she even may want to get a pot with some potting soil and keep it moist. Put the cuttings in it and then cut the bottom off a cola bottle, big plastic cola bottle. Throw the top away. Set it over like a little greenhouse with an open vent at the top, like a miniature greenhouse that keeps humidity but lets the heat out the top. They have a whole lot better chance doing that. And if it doesn't work, make sure that whoever gets the new house, the old house, you can come back in February and take cuttings in because they root really, really well in the late winter.
Okay. She also has a Japanese maple that's only been in the ground a couple of years. It's not big, and she really wanted to dig that up and take it with her.
It's a bad time of year to be digging a plant. You know, right now they need all they can. You know, keep in mind that Japanese magnolia, Japanese maples, they grow better in Canada than they do in Mississippi. Really, they had used to a shorter season, and we still have a couple of 3 months of growing ahead of them. If you dig them up, you're cutting off the ends of the roots, which are the important feeder parts. And so she's just got to do it. Go ahead and dig it up. You can only move a root ball so big, maybe the size of a basketball. Put it in a pot, but have her cut it back or thin some of the branches out to take the stress off the plant so it doesn't have all those leaves and all of a sudden not enough roots. So thin it out, or else see if she can come back and get it later. But if you got to move it, keep it moist, not wet, but thin out some of the branches or some of the twigs to sort of make it like a bonsai and take some of the stress off those roots.
All right. Thank you.
All righty. And by the way, Job, I got an email from Tom Meyer. He sent me a picture of his tall goldenrod a couple of weeks ago, and he sent an email and said just after I sent the picture, it got a big wind and it blew his giant goldenrod over. So he made him a teepee, a tripod for his goldenrod, and stood it back up. He said right now it's almost 10 feet tall. So we got people who when a weed blows over, they'll stand it back up and try to keep it growing. I love people who are gardeners.
Now let's go to our last call for the hour. And we've been all over everywhere except for Mississippi today. But let's go to Mikey in Mobile, another Alabama caller.
Hey, Mikey, we're running out of time, but what you got, lady?
I'm from Mississippi on half of my family side. My daddy, okay, Pelahatchie. Anyway, I got. Okay. First of all, I've got a question. You may direct me to Pam Hibas regarding this one. Can you use a battery op or one of the electric mowers on when the grass is wet?
Sure. They're designed for that.
You can. I mean,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, they wouldn't do that if they're gonna. Yeah.
Okay. Second question regarding Bahia grass and monkey grass, as we call it, mondo grass. Can you spray without killing the mondo grass?
Yes, there are herbicides that only kill true grasses. Mondo grass and liriope are lilies. They're in the lily family, but they're herbicides that only kill true grasses. And you can spray it over there, that hurt knows it all. So anyway, that's good questions. I wish we had time to go into more detail, but yes, there are grass-only weed killers.
Now, Felder, we got one question from our live stream chat. I think it may be easy. I have an old fig that's dying. It still has some life. How can I get cuttings from it to grow more?
Foot-long pieces about as big around as your fingers. Stick them in some good dirt. Keep them moist.
See, like I said, I thought that'll be easy.
Boom. I appreciate it. You set me up for something easy at the end of the program, didn't you?
Yeah. I was like, we got to end on a high note, man. But when is this flower show you going to? Is it tomorrow?
Yes, tomorrow. It's up in Yorkshire. Shire is English for county. Have you ever heard of a sheriff?
Uh-huh.
It comes from Shire Reeve. Reeve is the representative of the crown in each county that sort of does the county business for the king. That's called the Reeve. That's where the Shire Reeve became sheriff. Isn't that a stupid thing to know?
And I learned it right here on the Gestalt Gardener.
Yeah, man. Hey, listen, I didn't give enough propers to Abram and John C. for being our live stream producer. We really appreciate them. And also, good to see Jonas Adams again. He hasn't gained a pound since he left Mississippi.
Yeah, some of the people in the chat were saying he's moving his son into college tomorrow, but he looks like he's going to college tomorrow.
That's right. Yeah, and y'all went to J-State together, didn't you?
We did.
Okay. All righty, man. Well, it's been a real one. Been ripping and roaring. I didn't have a chance to show off my lavender, but we're gonna take a quick break. It's called a week, folks. If you get a chance, take a kid or a neighbor to a garden center, put a pot full of herbs together, and show them how to do what we do best, and that's get dirty. See y'all next week.